So good evening. It is April 1st at 7:03 p.m. I would like to call the regular meeting of the Royal Oaks Parks, Recreation, and Senior Services Advisory Board to order. Due to the virtual nature of the meeting, all voting and attendance will be done through roll call. Going through as everyone appears on my screen, please state aye and where you are broadcasting from, starting with Crystal. Got to get off mute, Chris. We cannot hear you.
Hi, I'm broadcasting from Royal Oak.
Awesome, thank you. Joe.
Aye, and I am broadcasting from Royal Oak.
Commissioner Macy.
Hi, and I'm broadcasting from Royal Oak.
Susan.
Hi, and I'm broadcasting from Royal Oak.
Mike. On mute.
I am broadcasting from Spaceship Earth in Royal Oak.
Oh, nice. All right. I could read your lips, so I knew where you were coming from, but I appreciate you going off mute for us.
Trust me, my wife is on a Zoom call in the other room. I'm on a Zoom call. Yeah. So I'm a little scattered right now.
No worries. And Maya.
I'm broadcasting from Royal Oak, Michigan, in Royal Oak. From my house in my condo with my parents.
And Sarah, I am broadcasting as well from Royal Oak. So, and we also have John and Aaron with us. So thank you. Moving on to the first agenda item, which is approval of the meeting minutes from March that were sent to us by John. Anyone want to entertain a motion? Okay.
I move to approve.
Okay. Mike entertains a motion by Mike. Second by Joe. Any discussions on the motions to approve the minutes?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I will call for a vote. So we get to do the whole aye thing again. But I'm going to start at the bottom of my screen. So, Maya. Maya said aye. Mike?
Yes.
Susan?
Aye.
Crystal?
I read them, but because I wasn't there, I'm not sure if I should vote.
Yep, that's fine. You read them. Okay. Joe?
Aye.
Melanie?
Aye.
And Sarah's an aye. All right. So item number item number 4. Item number 3 in my script, but we are moving on to item number 4 on the actual agenda, is the city commission comments. So Commissioner Macy.
Yeah, just a couple little things that have been park related that have come up in city commission. It's probable that Aaron or John is going to have a better update on these later. I'll just give the city commission part of this. So the downtown park came back in front of the city commission with a little bit scaled down because of it's over budget. And so there were some cost savings that were done in there. I think city staff did a really smart job. But you may have heard that the bathrooms aren't there. The bathrooms, first of all, were quite expensive, strangely expensive. I think partially because they were kind of in the middle of the park. And also our city manager expressed concern that having a single unisex bathroom in the middle of a park that is going to have a lot of traffic may not be the best use. Spending $280,000 on that may not be the best use. We probably need more bathrooms and probably will figure out another place to put them. I think he's thinking maybe towards the corner of the farmers market area so that it can be used for both. So that was the downtown park. Also in front of us was a change for the CDBG. So I think we all remember that we had some pretty exciting proposals, world's largest slide that John had for us at Lawson Park, and that's still a go. But wait, I'm not getting confused. But Franklin Park, which is a little one, and we talked a lot about a tennis court there, like redoing the tennis court there and putting a small play structure, which it doesn't currently have. That one does not fit in the budget. So when we had them put together help me out, guys.
Proposal.
Say it again.
Proposal.
Request when we did the proposal, it was just we couldn't do them both. So I did ask about whether or not we could use some of the money coming in from the federal government for this, but city manager and Joseph Murphy talked about the possibility that we could use next year's CDBG funds, since it's still a CDBG area, and kind of roll right into that. So there's the hope that if we can go ahead, if we, when he makes the proposals to us, which will be coming, I think, pretty soon, and if that's the one that we pick, we'll still try to get it done this year. So there's still hope for Franklin Park. I think you remember that Mr. Tom Regan came here to talk to us about community gardens. He has been running with that, and there's been several meetings, and including like a review of different possible sites around Royal Oak. And I think he's going to be coming forward again to request a specific site soon. He was at the Environmental Advisory Board at their last meeting. And so he did a little presentation there, and Aaron was there, and sort of had a discussion about what it would look like. And I think from what I'm seeing, that Tom's going to be be ready soon to come ask for some spot in one of our parks.
Melanie, will he come to us or will he go straight to City Commission?
I think he's going to go straight to Aaron.
Okay.
So, I mean, that was just like an update of a park happening. And then on the senior side, I've not been able to get anything going with the schools partially, I mean, they've just been crazy. So all the school administration hasn't been able to carve out time to meet with me on our senior outreach issues. That's mostly the teens that we're working with the schools on. I have been in contact with the woman who's interested in starting a nonprofit for outreach, making phone calls to seniors. We've gone through some of the issues for that. I've also talked to Judy about that, about moving that forward a little bit. So that's kind of inching forward. It's not going to be really a city project. I'm just keeping you informed. It's going to be a nonprofit, I think, that this woman is going to form. And I'm just sort of helping her figure out how that will work and connecting the dots with her as much as I can. And then I mentioned briefly earlier, you may have heard that Royal Oak is going to be the recipient of almost $30 million in additional federal funds as part of this. I mean, yeah, it's pretty exciting. As part of just the COVID relief package that the federal government put out. So it's a lot of money. It's a huge sum. I've already spent it 19 times in my head, but it's a lot of money. And I think there's going to be some piece of it obviously will be working. I think some piece of it will come to parks. I have no insight yet into how this is going to be spent. I think we'll be talking about that in the budget meetings, which will be coming up in May. I'm sure Aaron has also spent it 10 times in his head. So we'll see what the department heads are asking for in this upcoming budget. It does come in 2 installments. So we're getting one this year and one next year, and it needs to be spent by 2024. I think lots of people have lots of different ideas for that. So I'm sure we'll be getting more updates from staff about things that might be happening in our parks with that. Oh, and we have now done 2 rounds of interviews for our new city attorney, and we authorized the city manager yesterday, I think, to make an offer to one of the candidates. So more on that, but hopefully we'll have a city attorney in place soon. That's all I got.
Awesome. Thank you for the comments. Does anyone have any questions or comments on Commissioner Macy's report?
Yes, Commissioner Macy. You alluded to the city attorney interviews. I watched parts of both of those. I couldn't watch the entire 2-hour plus presentation. Both looked like very good candidates. Any hints on who you offered to, or you still got to wait?
Yeah, well, we're making our offer to Mr. Aaron Leal. We would like Aaron's around here.
Yeah.
More Aaron's the better.
Very, very qualified, and I also like the nod to diversity on that candidate. So very good. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. Moving right along. Thank you, Commissioner Macy. Moving on to the next agenda item, which is public comment. Just like our in-person meetings, we limit speaking time to 3 minutes, which is the standard for all city commission or committee meetings. Please use the raise hand icon and click on that so we'll be able to bring you off mute to address the board. John, do we have anyone?
There are no public comments.
I actually have public comment. Somebody wrote me an email, so I'm going to read it to you guys, okay? I have friends who write me emails now. All right, this is from around the dog park. Shocking, right? All right. I would love to see the Mark Twain Dog Park implement visibility blockers at the entrance gate and adjacent fencing. Cyclone fencing is cost effective. However, it lends particularly well to a behavior which we have all seen play out. A new dog and park member approach the entrance, and anywhere between 1 and 15 dogs rush the gate to investigate the newcomers. During COVID, this poses a simple enough logistical challenge of how to stay close enough to intervene without crowding other dog owners or the newcomer. Ignoring the logistical challenges of COVID, this poses a risky slope for common dog behavior and dog behavior challenges. Barrier frustration. Barrier frustration looks like aggression, even if in its excitement. And if the frustration or arousal increases, things can escalate and end badly for everyone. Many dogs experience what is considered barrier frustration, whether it's on leash, behind a window, or wherever they have an interest in investigating something there and are prevented from doing so. With the removal of training tools such as food rewards and the addition of a wild card factor of other dogs, having a management plan of blocking the dog's visual access to newcomers is critical to long-term success. Though no visual blocker is going to be 100% foolproof, decreasing visible access to newcomers for the dog prevents dogs from rehearsing this bad behavior and limits the time escalating the frustration and arousal so that it does not persist throughout dog owners' training efforts. I've included an article and expert about how practicing unwanted behavior such as fence welcoming committee makes it harder to teach dogs new habits. At the end of the day, I want what is best for my dog and the other park members' dogs, a safe, enriching park experience for dogs to play together. I've had nothing but positive experiences with most of my trips to the park, and Claire adores the social outlet, dog play, and occasional surprise pizza hidden in the woods by squirrels. I've spent an inadvisable amount of money on her to ensure she is healthy, trained, and happy, but I recognize that it is not a privilege or expense many owners can take in order to give their dog the best possible chances for success. I think it's important that as a central gathering point for many dog lovers, that we set ourselves and our dogs up for the most success as a community. And I believe that starts with setting them up for calm and safe introductions and hellos. As for what type of visibility blockers I propose, and I'm personally willing to pay up to $500 for something that is determined to be both safe and effective. I am apprehensive of plastic slats due to the ease and likely attractiveness for dogs to chew them. Plants and foliage, particularly in the park, run the risk of toxicity, recurring maintenance costs, or even the simple obstacle of plant death by dog urine. I found a mesh fabric privacy screen that can be quickly and easily installed on a cyclone fence. Though the company does not offer custom printed screens, there's a desire for a more attractive option. For example, 100 feet length by 5 feet high of a midnight green commercial block 750 series fence screen with hog ring fasteners and half moon air vents to allow wind flow is calculated at $366.98 total purchase cost. End of my public comment. I can forward everyone here the actual email and the attachment as well. I just didn't get a chance to do that, but
Who is that from?
from a park member named Jill Tynes,
Okay.
whose dog was attacked at the gate and hurt.
I think it would be wise to have a copy to all the board members here and to John and Aaron if they don't already have it. And
Yep.
maybe it's a discussion item for a future meeting.
Okay,
Sarah, I need it so I can attach it to the minutes.
I will get it to you as soon as we get off this call. I just tried to focus on this, but I will be happy to send it to you afterwards, John, so you can. Yes, Melanie.
So I should have said this in my commissioner comments, but when we said public comment, it reminded me, we at the commission level have gotten a lot of comments about skate parks. So the last 2 meetings, we've probably had 20 or 30 a piece, people calling in about skate parks, and they've been pretty quick, like, we want a skate park. But just so you know. So I think some of the board members were here for it, but many weren't. That we had there's a group that's formed to come and speak to us and do a presentation, and I think we were all pretty excited about it until it came to the price. And the price was about $1 million, and they said they would try to fundraise half, which would mean it would be $500,000. So I think that's where we are right now. I don't think there's anybody who's like, no, I don't want a skate park. I think it's more like, how are we going to fund this, and how would we make this happen, and where? So anyway, that's the update. We have been receiving a lot of public comment, which probably actually should be coming to us here, but has been going to City Commission.
Okay. I'm trying to get this to you, John. I'm sorry. I can't multitask.
I mean, it could be tomorrow or Monday or whatever. I was just saying, when I submit the minutes,
Okay.
Catch it.
I will send it all to everybody on this thing. I just can't copy and paste all the addresses right now. So,
That's fine.
okay. All right. Did anyone join us by chance, John?
Nope.
All right. Well, then I'm going to go ahead and close public comment so we can move on to the business of our meeting. Very exciting. We have the Royal Oak Football Club, which is, I'm guessing, why we have a Mr. Ned Macy with us today.
Yep. So Ned is the new field scheduler for ROFC, Royal Oak Football Club, and any other items that he works on. So Ned and I have been working closely during this season to get ROFC up and running. So Ned, turn it over to you if you want to go over kind of what the club is about and what you do and all that good stuff.
Can't hear you, Ned. This is my husband. He does know how to use the mute button, I promise. Maybe he doesn't have a mic.
Hi, Ned. You're muted on the on the Zoom meeting.
Luckily, I know where he is. I'm just going to go take him this microphone.
Okay. He looks.
Is that Commissioner Macy?
Help is on the way, Ned. I promise we've sent up an angel with a microphone so you can talk to us.
You could do this, Ned. My thing, it says, hi, Ned.
All right. Does that work?
Yes.
There we go. Magic.
I think she wants that back when you're done. Just
Yeah.
So
You guys can all vote whether you want her to have it back or
Okay.
not at the end. Okay. So as John said, I am new to the Royal Oak Football Club, which is soccer, but we call ourselves the Royal Oak Football Club. My kids have been playing. I think this is maybe the 8th season I've had a kid involved in Royal Oak football, Royal Oak soccer. Our club is the, I believe, 2nd largest recreational soccer program in the whole state, and by far the largest one in the area. All told, we have over 2,100 kids playing soccer this spring, which is, we believe, a record. Our records go back 10 years, and it's the highest that we've had in that period. That includes over 1,500 rec players and almost 200 of what we call little renegades, which is the little 3- and 4-year-olds, which is also the highest number we've ever had then at that age. And it's, I mean, it's very exciting. We obviously, COVID has been a huge issue, and our numbers were understandably down last fall, but knock on wood, we had a very exciting, very successful fall season where, as far as we know, there was no spread during our games. We follow all the state rules in terms of masks for our players, masks for spectators, and did avoid any spread in the fall and hope to do so in the spring as well. But COVID has posed new challenges for the Parks Department, and my first year being tasked with this, I have put John through the ringer and continued to do so, and he has been amazing to work with. Traditionally, we do use a number of parks for our teams, but also schools. But the school district, until noon today, basically, had not approved us to use any school grounds. Spring is also baseball season, and so there are a number of Royal Oak Sandlot and travel baseball teams that use all the parks in Royal Oak that have baseball diamonds on it. And so we use, between 10 and 12 locations every season. And it has been quite the ask and quite the demands on poor John to get that together. And he has been amazing to work with. The way the system is set up is John is great about giving us, use of the parks that we can to set up our games. And all our game fields are aligned and set up by Parks Department staff. And Bob, I don't know Bob, I can't pronounce Bob's last name, I apologize, but he, by all accounts, is a great person to work with on the staff and does an amazing job helping us. Then we also have practice facilities that we use and we try and set those up ourselves. And then we do help mowing in the spring because obviously that can be its own challenges. That hopefully it's a relatively dry spring this year because we do not have a lot of wiggle room in our schedules or in our game fields. But it is just, I've been coming to these games for 8 years and there's always a park there and it's always maintained, but it just did not occur to me the amount of work that comes in on the city level to like help us to get it set up. And I guess thank you for those 8 years, but now specifically as a board member, thanks for the work that goes, both logistically at the office and the people who help line our game fields is great. The other thing that I guess I want to point out, well, two things. Well, one is just a side note is we are super excited about Normandy Oaks and the progress that's being made there. I don't know when, we're not counting our chickens on when we're gonna get access to those two fields. But we'll be excited whenever that comes. And it's amazing to have the two full-size fields that I think have drainage. And so that's gonna hopefully ease the burden on the city. And because just transitioning to, the big challenge in these spring fields is that it rains a lot and a lot of North Royal Oak is, it doesn't drain so well. And for instance, we got a big rain last week and I went out to look at Exchange where which we use in the fall generally, but have to use sort of the middle part this year because we're short on parks. And I mean, there was literally a duck swimming in a puddle. Like there was the water's that deep. And there's not, I mean, that's just how it's set up, and I understand the soil and everything. But it does lead us to, like, we've specifically as a board talked about it, and one thing I wanted to convey to you guys is if there are projects, particularly on fields that we use that, could help with drainage or help spruce up areas, we would like or be happy to talk with you and maybe partner on some of those projects. It was, before my time on the board, but my understanding is we helped at Red Run a little bit with some of the drainage issues there that have improved it. And so if there is stuff on fields that we use, we certainly appreciate it, all we get out of Royal Oak Parks and are happy to give back. And, we have limited funds, but we also have people who can help, and we have some funds, and we are happy to see what we can do to provide resources to pay for certain things that maybe can help just, with some drainage issues at something like Exchange. I don't know if that's even doable. I don't understand soil and drainage, et cetera. So maybe that's not the right answer, but just as you guys evaluate, you obviously have limited number of manpower and limited amount of parks employees that can do things, and limited budgets too. But if something comes up and you're like, hey, this would be great for the park, generally soccer does play there sometimes, just give me a call or give someone on the board a call and we'll see what we can do, because the city's been great to us, the school district has been great to us, and traditionally too, and we're happy to help them too. And it's just it's something that we really appreciate, and we want to continue to provide the best facilities that we can and the amazing experience we do to so many of the kids. There was a question in the chat, I think. So in terms of like the travel soccer players, if someone was asking that, it's 450 is how many. So we have 1,500 some odd rec, 192 of the little renegades, and then 450 travel soccer players. So that's really all I wanted to say, is just that, sort of thank yous that to the city, to the park department, and that, as you guys try to figure out what to do going forward to keep improving parks and facilities, if there's something that comes up and you're like, well, soccer does use this, and maybe we can work together with something to help you guys out.
Ned, just real quick, Mike Rapinski here. Going back for the historical perspective that I always try to provide, I coached in the predecessor to the current group, Roysa, for almost 10 years when my daughters played. I think my last year coaching was 1999. We had around the same number of kids playing soccer in those years, just 2,200. We were also the largest in the area, one of the largest in the States. And what was great about our programs for the city of Royal Oak, we did emphasize our club teams and our, getting as many kids to participate as possible, which made us successul. So first of all, I acknowledge you for giving up your time and to take on a project like that. I know field scheduling or referee scheduling, it might even be worse, trying to get things done for the kids in our community. And just know that we have always on this board, I've been off and on the Parks and Rec board for, I think, going on 12, 13 years, have always kept the soccer programs in our city in our minds as we've made decisions, as we've allocated space and resources over the years. And having been chair of the Normandy Oaks Task Force, it was imperative that the soccer group, ROFC, had some input on that design of that park. And, we really insisted that some space be allocated in the overall design. So you have a lot of advocates on this board. And I personally acknowledge the work that you do and all of the leaders and the coaches and everybody that's involved in ROFC. So thank you for what you do.
Hi, Ned. Aaron with the City of DPS Director. Nice to meet you. I don't think we've ever met, but thank you for being here. A quick question. You were mentioning some of the drainage issues at the parks. I'm aware that there are kind of issues all over the place, but from your perspective, in trying to coach sports, you mentioned Exchange Park. Is that like the worst one that comes to your mind, or what would be if you had to, off the top of your mind, pick the worst candidate or the best candidate for an improvement project potentially, what would it be?
I mean, Exchange. I mean, the reason I think that we talked about Exchange is because it is really bad, and it's. This cuts both ways because it's a bigger project, but it's so big, and there's so much. Baseball uses it, we use it. Like for instance, I remember back when Mike referenced the Normandy Oaks, like there was a dispute, we're gonna put one soccer field or two soccer field at Normandy Oaks. And, it was like, well, you can fit a full soccer field at Exchange, but you can't, it's just not playable in the spring because it it gets so wet in the rain.
Aaron, Ned, trust me, Exchange was our worst field 20 years ago, and it's still the worst field, and it still has, I think we've looked at it over the years before you guys were even around, every which way we could to see we could improve the drainage there. And it's always been a challenge. I mean, if there's some solution out there, believe me, that would help greatly. But fortunately, this spring hasn't been as bad as other springs had. So if you get any use out of that field this spring, it would be a plus. So, but it's been our worst field for over 20 years.
Right, and there are other fields, and I don't know them off the top of my head because people. I'm like, well, what about this field? And they're like, well, we just can't use that. There's what's the field over? It's over by Greenfield.
Sullivan Park.
Sorry, what's he saying? Which park?
Sullivan Park.
Sullivan Park. Like we went to look at that. Like we couldn't put a 5 up, and we couldn't really. We were getting kind of desperate before the schools finally came through here, and we were looking at Sullivan Park, and it just gets wet, and so that would be a smaller territory. Again, like Mike said, I don't know the answer. Like maybe it's not doable on any sort of reasonable scale to fix. But if there are just little things or smaller projects or ways that we could to get that get different soil in there or help with the drainage somehow, that would be that's just the kind of thing we're thinking about. I can look back at all the notes I've gotten. I don't know if you guys know Tom Williams. I know John does. Tom Williams has been sort of Royal Oak soccer institution forever. And
I
he's,
coached with Tom back in those years, and he was always like the godfather of especially girls soccer, and but the overall soccer program. He is amazing. He's an amazing guy.
And so I think he was Southfield DPS back in the day. And so he's got a lot of theories and ideas, and, so he's told me what parks are wetter or less wet. And so what we can or can't do, I don't know the answer, but if you think there is something we can do, then we are, we would like to help.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I just wanted to know what might be the most impactful, because obviously we're going to make choices. We can't do it in a widespread way. So if we were to do it, where would we put our focus? And it sounds like between you and Mike, Exchange is a really good candidate.
Yeah, Aaron, if I may add, I mean, Exchange is one of our wettest parks that we have, as well as Sullivan Park. Upton Park is pretty wet, and so is Kenwood. Now, last week when we had that rain, I did go out to a lot of parks, particularly Kenwood and Exchange. I've talked about doing some drainage tiles at Kenwood in particular, but I encourage our board to go out when it rains, and you'll see it's not just like it puddles or there's a lake in one particular area, and then you can say to yourself, okay, I need to put a drain tile here, or this is where the problem lies. Kenwood Park and Exchange, the water is everywhere. So it's multiple locations. Now, it doesn't mean we can't pick maybe the worst spot and put a drain tile there and see if that alleviates some of the issues. But I think you're also going to start looking at the possible of regrading the park, because you're always going to have these pockets of water. Do you want to put drainage, 20 different drainage tiles in each different location? You can do that, I guess. Or maybe if you go that route, you might as well spend the money to try to maybe add some more soil and regrass the area to kind of bring the grade up to a higher level.
Again, going back to my experience, John and everyone, none of the solutions are very cost effective. That they're, and all those parks that do get wet and puddle and everything else, of them all, some of them drain, eventually gets, the water absorbs and the puddles go away. Exchange, the water just doesn't absorb. I mean, it just, the water stands longer there than any place else. So that is, but it's also one of the largest areas. So you have, a large usable space if we could fix the drainage there or grade, but none of those solutions are very cost effective. I don't know. Again, we've looked at this over the years, all my years on Parks and Rec, all my years with Roysa, and we've never come up with a good solution unless, a big bag of money drops out of the sky.
We just got one. We just got 30.
I saw Commissioner Macy's face light up, but I'm sure there are uses already in line for that the government money. But yeah, Exchange would be the one if we could do something with that part and get that drainage or get, so it does, at least the water runs off instead of puddles there. It would be the one I think would suit the soccer organization the best, because it's the largest area. You could possibly put one large field, two small fields. You could get a lot of use out of that one. But again, the solution's not easy. Sorry, I don't have an easy answer for you.
I also think, does they have to get balanced? Because I'm guessing this is regrading and all of that comes when in the middle of soccer, right? So then, are you going to lose those fields? I'm just thinking out loud. I mean, I think you got to figure it out, but I'm just trying to think through the logistics of if the world wouldn't have money.
So logistically, if soccer was resting a field, that would be the time to grade it, right? So let's say they're using Exchange in the spring, but they're not using Exchange in the fall. I mean, that would be the time to hit it.
Okay.
or even vice versa. If fall and they use exchange in the fall and then we hit it in the spring.
We don't
but-
typically use it for both, John?
No, because we rest fields, so they typically
Okay.
have a set of fields they use for fall, and they have a set of fields they use for the spring session. I will say if we are going to want to work on grading of Exchange Park, you probably would want to do that in the drier months because you are not going to get a vehicle in there. Heavy machinery.
Yeah, and we'll certainly work. I mean, we can certainly talk about that. And to follow up on we do like to rest a field. We are not resting fields right now because we just don't have enough without the schools.
Sure.
We didn't have the schools in the fall either, right? So, so unfortunately, we're not. But we can certainly work around. You know, and then obviously once we get the new one, Normandy Oaks, then that will give us more flexibility, certainly to rest like a big field like Exchange.
Awesome.
John, what's the expected first season use for Normandy?
Right now, would need about 1.5 years of seed. So you're looking at maybe
23?
the fall of 2022, but probably the spring of 2023. Now,
When did we seed that?
We haven't.
it's seeded in the fall.
Last fall.
Yes.
Okay.
One soccer field was seeded in the fall. The other soccer field is going to be seeded in the spring.
Okay.
Now we do have the turf management guys over at Michigan State. They have kind of this miracle grow that they have proposed to us. And so we're kind of looking into that. If we were to apply this miracle grow that this turf guru advocates for, he says that we could have the fields up and running by the summer or fall season.
John, why is it 1.5 years? That seems like a super long time. The soccer field in my backyard only takes a couple weeks to reseed.
Well, this isn't like your typical grass field. These are premier grass soccer fields, and the type of seed and fertilizer that goes into this needs proper germination. So it's not like the seed that's at like Exchange, or the grass that's at Exchange Park or Grant Park, right? I mean, that's just your regular, probably Kentucky bluegrass. So I mean, you can find the same grass that's in your backyard. You can just throw it down, let it grow, and play on it. But if you want this field to be a premier soccer field, not just for the first year, but for many years to come, you do want it to properly germinate and fertilize and all that good stuff. So to be on the safe side, they say you can play on it within 1 year, but probably to be on the safe side, you're probably looking at maybe 1.5 years.
We built Normandy Oaks so that we will have ideally less drainage issues.
Correct.
Like we took that into consideration, right? I'm guessing.
Right, but the worst thing we could do would be start using those fields early and then
I
have
wasn't
the
going
grass. Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
those will be our best fields. They will be our premier fields, not just for premier soccer, but that whole design that went into our very early planning and our discussions 5-6 years ago. Commissioner Macy, I think you were involved in some of those at one point in your experience with Normandy Oaks Task Force. So yeah, it's better to be patient, and then we'll have some great fields for you, Ned, down the road. But unfortunately, we have to wait. I had this random thought about Exchange. And I know we talked about this again years ago about finding a sponsor, finding somebody to sponsor the field there. The Exchange Park soccer fields sponsored by Matthews Hargraves or something like that. And I think we made some overtures. Unfortunately, it was we were heading into a recession at the time. The businesses with deep pockets right now that seem to want to throw money around and put their names on everything are these. Unfortunately, the cannabis companies, the places that, I hate to see it, but if they're willing to build us a premier soccer field at Exchange park, I guess might have to listen to them. I don't know.
I
Random
mean,
thought.
the green names will line up, right? Like
Right.
We might have
No
different
conflict of interest if the kids are getting sponsored by cannabis at all. So
no, we might have some interesting flowers growing around the perimeter, but I'm just
yes,
just saying.
the happiest soccer field on earth.
I'll make sure to forward all inquiries to you whenever I get them.
Another good option, and I mean, nothing's been finalized, but there are some hospital systems
Yeah.
that would love to do this sort of thing as well, and they have money. They've got some deeper pockets than others, so we'll chase that one down too. In fact, John and I have already been sort of discussing that. There's nothing to announce, but
And we have two big players in Royal Oak now, not just Beaumont, but we have Henry Ford now too. And
We have Ascension too.
they are in competition for exposure and so forth. And trust me, I'm also on the board of the Chamber of Commerce, and Beaumont has stepped up big time to do some heavy sponsorship with the Chamber of Commerce for some of our major events. I think it's an effort to increase their public relations because they've gotten a lot of negative PR lately. So maybe, I have a name. I don't know if I need to give it to you, Aaron, or you, John. I could give you a name of somebody at Beaumont.
yeah, let's follow up in an email. That would be
I
good.
will send you. I'll send you an email here after the meeting.
Thanks.
But
All right. Any other questions, comments, thoughts for Ned?
Yeah, I just want to chime in real quick.
Oh, sure.
Ned, thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Joe Vukic. I coach rec soccer, and my kid's been playing rec and Premier for about 5 or 6 years now. So it's a great organization. I think you answered the question I had, which was, did the schools come through, and are we allowed to use their fields? And then maybe more for the board, can we guarantee that all of the soccer fields do have a porta-john on them for all seasons? I've heard parents, a lot of talk on the sidelines about how some parks have them, some parks don't. And just see if there's a way we can make sure all soccer fields do have access to a porta-john.
So the school district, I mean, we narrowed our ask to just ask for ROMs, where we do a lot of the practicing. And so they accepted that. So I don't know if they would have given us more or less, but they came through with that, which eases a lot of our burden, but leaves us for game field still, without using, Adams and Upton, both which we use sometimes. So they did come through with ROMs, which will free up a lot of our time during the day. I don't know what you guys want to do. Porta-johns, my understanding is that we, the soccer board, like the instructions that sort of have been passed down, over time to the fields person is to order a certain number for certain particular fields. And so that I guess that's what we do. I don't know the answer to, broader porta-john usage at all the fields.
Who puts them out, Ned? Is it you or the city?
We do. We contract with them, and then they, I just have a list, like, get 2 at Quickstad and 2 at 1 at Red Run, and I can't remember all of them off the top of my head.
But it's not all the game fields?
It's not all the game fields, no. But I'll bring that back and figure out why that is, or what the deal with that is.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. I mean, having played in some of the smaller parks where they don't have the access to them, it's definitely, you see some of the parents run to their car and running home real quick and running back to the game. So
yeah, well, particularly for like the 5v5 fields, the littler kids, which are sort of the smaller parks, and so those, I don't think we do put them there, and that can be more problematic. So yeah, I'll try and figure that out, or what the deal with that is, or why that decision's been made historically.
Cool. And then, so will we be seeing the nets coming back up at ROMs sometime soon?
So at ROMs, we're gonna set up our practice fields this weekend, hopefully, and I don't know, the premier coaches are meeting tonight, but I think a lot of the premier practices will start there next week. Everyone's trying to get outside to practice for COVID reasons, obviously.
Cool.
And so I think that's going to happen there.
Thank you.
Mike, can you get us a porta-john at Realtor Park?
You're asking me?
My realtor friend.
You know what? I'll tell you, there's a possibility, but contact the guy over at, he used to be with Keller Williams. I know Keller Williams in downtown Royal Oak kind of adopted that park. They're called Keller Williams Metro, but their office right on Washington in downtown Royal Oak. They more or less have adopted the Realtor Park, and I know have done the park cleanup and other things there. So they might be into a Porta-John sponsorship.
Might as well ask. Otherwise, I'll have to tell them where kids go when they got to go at that park.
Who doesn't want their name on a Porta-John?
Right? Who doesn't want the kids to be sponsored by cannabis and have our names on Porta-Johns? Like, yes, go. Royal Oak is cutting edge with our sponsorship activity.
We've officially gone off the rails, Sarah.
We have, I know. So I'm going to, any other comments, questions for Ned? I think the last comment is that we need to return the mic to downstairs. And thank you so much for all that you do for the football club. And thank you for the update and coming to our meeting. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks so much for all you guys do for the parks and for the ROFC as well. And I appreciate it. And I will go return the microphone.
All right. Thanks, Ned. Have a great evening.
You too.
Thanks.
All right. Well, here we are. Appointment to the Downtown Park Task Force that I stepped away from for Mr. Ross, who's not attended today against this meeting. So how do we want to handle this, team?
Sarah, I would probably recommend that we
You want me to just take it back up?
Position back, because I
Yeah.
don't foresee the Downtown Park Task Force meeting
Yeah, that's fine.
unless something drastic happens, but I mean,
Okay, so you don't accept my resignation is what I'm hearing, John?
yes.
Okay, done. All right. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Would you like to be on the task force that will never meet again? All right. Let's talk about the total soccer lease renewal, Mr. John. I'm guessing this is yours. I have some questions, but I'll let you give us the overview first.
Yep, so sorry for getting this to everyone late. Working with the Total Soccer Group. So their contract expires April 30th of this year, 2021. And in their current contract, they are obligated to recoat the tennis courts at Warden Park by September of 2020. Last September.
Okay.
Obviously, that was the year of COVID. Usually the Total Soccer Group, they have a bubble over the tennis courts, and they take down the bubble every April or May, and then they bring it back up and install it in October. If you recall, tennis courts was one of those things that were closed probably until late May, early June. So they never brought the bubble back or they never took the bubble down because of that. And at that point, it made no sense for them to bring it down in June and then bring it back up in October. So the bubble stayed up the entire year. And because of COVID, they ran into, I think, just about like every other local business and organization, they ran into some funding issues. So they are not able to recoat the tennis courts. So been working with the Total Soccer Group. Aaron and I have been working with them to come up with some sort of an agreement that these tennis courts can be recoated. They need to be recoated every 5 years in order to keep up their condition. And they're one of our best tennis courts. And tennis courts are extremely expensive to repair. So in the agreement, they would like to extend their current contract for another 5 years. So that would extend it to April 30th of 2027. And in order for them, or what we're proposing is, in order for us to extend that lease to 2027, the city will pay for the recoating of the tennis courts. But the Total Soccer will then have additional rent payments of $1,291 and some change over the 5-year period, broken up into 6 payments to repay the city back for the estimated cost of $38,750 to recoat all 6 courts. So that is what the current proposal from staff is for this lease extension. And then Total Soccer will need to recoat the tennis courts by September of 2026. So the next subsequent 5 years. And then they're also going to be obligated to take down the bubble every April, May, and then reinstall the bubble on their own costs in October.
Okay. So I have a couple of questions, John, and I'm reading this.
Yep.
And I didn't get a chance to look at it. So on page 1, you have
Yep.
first amended lease to be redrafted in toto. Is that total? Like, I don't know, is that a legal term or something?
It's probably total.
It's illegal. It's some term of art.
It's toto is the right word?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay,
It's the correct word. I've
Okay.
seen enough of these contracts to tell you it's
perfect.
correct.
And then I guess I am gonna first admit I'm not good at math, but I don't know how 21 to 27 is 5 years. It seems like that is 6 years to me.
That's what I was thinking too.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Like I've asked
Yeah,
asked my other.
I was going to bring that up as well.
Okay,
I keep counting on my fingers and it's not coming out right.
I legitimately wrote it out. I was like 21, 22,
Yep,
22.
yep.
And then I put little numbers by it. And then I asked my attorney in the house. and, like,
Yes.
I was like, so am I wrong? So I feel like I'm not that
Yeah,
bad.
if it must be core math or something because I'm not getting.
Okay.
It's just how pretty much I took their current lease and that year, and I pretty much just mirrored it.
Okay, but so that would end it in 2026 though, John, for 5 years, or
Yeah.
you just have to change it to 6 years, which is fine.
Yeah.
And then it would end in 2027, right? I mean, but if you only want to extend it for 5 years, then it would be 20.
So you're right. It would go
And then-
September 2025, and then it would expire April 30th, 2026.
Right.
Then if it expires in April 30th, 2026, is that going to impact your commitment to the September 2026 repaving?
That would become the 25th
It
then,
would come the 25th.
Okay.
2025 is what I mean to say. And the reason
And
I put it, oh, go ahead.
And then does that impact option term the below them? Is that from 2026 to 2032 then?
In 2031.
Okay.
Everything would essentially knocked down a year.
Right.
What do you like? I'm not trying to be a pain. I'm just trying to understand.
No, it's good catch.
That's a good catch, Sarah. That's a good
Yeah.
catch. I think we want to be, correct in our
I would hate-
dating and timing.
Right. I would hate for something to come up and then like we didn't catch this and have the conversation and then they come back to it. So, okay.
Right.
Is 38,000 the cost for tennis courts, or is that a like reasonable cost, or I don't know what it costs to resurface a tennis court, or
That is an extremely reasonable cost.
Okay.
To give you an idea,
Yeah, thanks.
I had the same contractor that will actually be recoating these courts. I actually had a meeting with him to look at redoing Elks, Dickinson, and those guys. Hope you guys are all sitting down because I'm going to give you extremely.
I just stood up. I can't put my desk down again, John. Let's go.
He's doing a project currently in Farmington Hills, one tennis court, $60,000 just for concrete.
Is concrete different than recoating?
Well, because you got to put the concrete. If Elks needs to be redone,
Okay.
it's deteriorated to a point where it needs to be redone.
Okay.
So you need to put a concrete layer down and then you recoat it.
Okay.
For Franklin Park, for that tennis court, we have 3 bids, and they are all around $8,000 to recoat the tennis court. So with this 38,000, it comes out to be like $6,500 for recoat.
Okay.
So it is actually a really favorable estimate.
It's our friends and family discount.
John, does
All
that
right.
include striping and lining?
Yep.
Oh, that stuff's overrated. Then I would actually have fair balls if there was no lines.
So
It
to
would
give
help
you-
improve my tennis game.
So to give everyone an idea, Franklin Park's tennis court is going to cost almost $150,000.
That's awesome. Should be the premier tennis court then, John. You build the best of the best. You got premier soccer fields. We're gonna have premier tennis courts. We're gonna build what world's longest slide or something. Like you're just gonna make Royal Oak a destination place for parks.
That's the goal.
I know, I love it.
I'm not getting these numbers. Like 38,000 for 6 courts to be recoated, 60,000 for 1 court to have a cement, 8,000 to be recoated, and 150,000 total. I'm super confused.
Well,
Like,
'cause-
when you said 38,000 for 6 courts, I was like, oh my God, we're going to recoat every court in the city to this year if that's how much it costs. So I need you to tell me so I don't get real excited. Like, how does it work?
you have to think this 38,000, 6,500 roughly per court is just recoating it. So it's almost like if you have an asphalt driveway and the company comes out and they just recoat your driveway. That's
And these are-
essentially what is happening at Warden Park.
Because these are in pristine condition because they're bubbled some of the time and things like that, right, John, is what you're saying?
Yes, and
Mm.
you are supposed to actually recoat tennis courts every 5 years to keep them in good condition.
Condition.
All
Okay.
right. So Elks Park, there's a lot to it, and I'll reference Franklin Park. So Elks Park, Franklin, it was 60,000 for concrete. So that's putting down your base layer.
1 court, right? 1 court.
1 court, yep. Then you're putting down the seal coat for $8,000. Then you have your fencing, which is roughly another $70,000 to $80,000.
70 to 80?
Yeah.
Okay. Nets are like $100, John. I'm just
And
kidding.
there's other components into that tennis court that are just very like, I'm breaking it down to your big chunks, right? Concrete, recoating, and the fencing. There's some minor details that make up that 150,000.
Do they both need new fences? We can't reuse the fences we got for Elks.
If you were to redo it, you might as well redo it the right way. The fencing, I guess, can be repurposed, but if you're going to redo the concrete, put in new recoating, make it look nice, you might as well make the whole thing look
Okay.
nice.
Is Franklin
Okay.
one of the CDBG ones?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. Tangent.
All good. You got the math all squared away? Yes, Crystal, what's up?
So I was just wondering this year because they didn't pay, it says that they have insurance. Did we look into that to cover the payment of recoating the tennis boards? Is that even possible? Since that was a term of their old lease.
Typically, the insurance, that wouldn't cover non-payment on a lease like that. It would just cover sort of injury or accident or things like that. And in some cases, there's performance bonds with certain contracts. Given the value of the contract, there isn't, and there isn't that option. That's why we find it a pretty fair deal to ensure that we get paid back for what we are investing, that they were supposed to have invested, structuring it this way, and then also requiring that the work that would come at the end of this contract be done at least 1 year before the expiration of the contract, because if we can't get it to perform then we have some recourse potentially at the end of the contract to cut it short or otherwise. So we're kind of protecting ourselves a little better than the way it was structured before.
Again, quick history lesson. Total Soccer's been there as long as any of us can remember and longer. I'm going to say they probably have been occupying that space going on 40 years. And and they've been good partners with the city. They've been a good contractor, concessionaire, provide a great resource for our soccer, not just from our city, but from the surrounding areas, especially during the winter months. I think anything we can do to help them get through this tough period is a good thing. So giving them some latitude with, the deferring the payments, paying us back, I think is a great thing. And to keep them on as a partner with the city and use of that space in the fall and winter months is terrific. So again, keep in mind that they have a long-standing history with the city, and I'm sure they will meet their obligation.
Okay. So John, just so I'm clear,
Yep.
is there this amendment, or do we need to vote on exchange, like the lease? Like what exactly are you looking for from this group?
I need this group to approve make a recommendation to approve this amendment as written, meaning, I guess there's gonna be two things. Allowing Total Soccer to renew their lease to another 5 years, providing that they follow the terms of this contract.
Okay.
And I don't know if you need to make a separate motion to change the dates, or, I have them in the minutes, but I'm not sure if you need a separate motion to change the dates, but I do have the change of the dates in the minutes.
I think we can make a motion, and I'll make the motion that we approve the recommendation from staff as noted with the amended dates as discussed here tonight.
Okay. Does anyone want to second that motion? I think that was Susan's little finger went up. I saw it.
Yep, I second.
Okay. Thank you, Susan. Yes, Melanie?
I have a few questions about it.
Okay.
Are you done with your question, sir? Sorry.
Yep. Discussions on the motion.
Discussion on the motion. So I saw that it looks like we're charging them $50,000 a year. Is that the same as it was before?
Yes.
Okay. And then I also saw that we get 10% if they make more than $500,000. And those numbers are very distinct numbers. And I'm wondering, as part of it is that we are able to review their books. Do we have a sense of how much they make normally, how much they make in this last year? Like, what's the deal?
I haven't reviewed their books yet, but we do get their payments on time. And a lot of times I know we've received some payments that were more than your, whatever their breakdown is, 50,000 over.
So they're making $500,000.
Pardon?
It sounds like it, right?
$500,000
In revenue.
In revenue.
Wow. Sweet.
Yeah, and again, historically, there have been some years, and I recall where they did exceed their break-even point with us and made extra payments. We got more than the minimum amount. Some years they didn't for various reasons, whether it was weather or other factors. But again, like I said, they've been good partners with the city for 40 years, and I have total faith in that group.
So I love them too. I'm there all the time. They'd be there for 4 games this Saturday. So, but I still think it's worth looking at. If they're making $500,000, is $50,000. I'm not trying to squeeze them, but I'm curious about that. Are we ever going to bump it up, or is it just $50,000 is how much we charge and we're happy with that? I get it that it's COVID and maybe now's not the time to change, but we are renewing a lease that's a 5-year lease. So just asking about that. And then about the courts. So it's $38,000 to recode it this time. By the next time, do they need to do the cement thingy, or is it just going to be recoding again? Like how many times can you do the recoding before you got to do more?
The recoding actually serves as a protectant, I want to say, of the concrete, as well as aesthetic appealing. So as long as you can keep the courts in good shape by recoding it and having someone properly recode it, you should be okay.
Okay. Okay. So I just was curious about those numbers, and if we thought there was any reason to review them.
Okay. All right, we had a motion. We had a seconded. Are we ready to vote on it? Okay, I'm gonna say yes. So we're gonna do vote by roll call. So here we go. We are voting on the extending this lease with the amended dates in it and something else. There was two things John wanted me to say.
The motion was, Mike Rapinski makes a motion to approve the amended contract provided by staff with the corrected dates.
Okay, which will then naturally extend the lease of Total Soccer for 5 more years, their contract for 5 more years.
Yes, yep.
And that was seconded by Susan. So we're gonna go ahead and do a vote. I will start with the first person I see, which is Crystal.
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Melanie,
Aye.
Maya,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Susan,
Aye.
and I am also aye. So the motion passes unanimously. Now I gotta find my agenda. That was a long one.
And then just to be clear, then that goes to city commission for their final approval, correct?
Correct, yep.
Ooh, we had a late addition. B's in the D. We're gonna get us some B's. All right. B and the D contract approval. I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry, John. I didn't see that get in here, so.
Oh, no, that's no problem. It should be on the.
Okay.
So
this, for some of our newer members, we had met last winter to talk about having some beehives placed in one of the parks. We had a couple of different locations. We had somebody come and present to us, and we all agreed it was a good idea. So it's just, we just didn't do anything with it, I guess, up until now. And they've reached back out because they're getting ready to order bees and asked if we wanted to move forward with this. So I'll let John take it from here.
Yeah, so essentially what this will need to do is approve the contract. The total amount is $2,440. Excuse the terminology, I'm not familiar with.
Is it Avery's?
What's that?
Isn't it, don't we get like two Avery's or like boxes?
Yeah, it's an apiary kit, 2 of them, for $400 a piece. 2 nuc of bees for $250. Custom wooden hive stand for $100. That's 1, and then maintenance and extraction for year 1, $520, and that totals your amount to $2,440. So we will need approval of the contract for that amount. And then I think we could, if we want to today, we can talk about where we would like to place these hives, so that way we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
I have a couple of other things I will send to you. I got it late from Brian and Brian. There's a grant that they thought we could potentially apply for this, like Michigan, Beautifying Michigan or something. Let me pull up my email. And then the other idea, Joe's gonna love this. I talked to them about potentially having like the kids do some art on them. So like if we could find somebody to draw, we could have kids' art placed on them. They would, before the bees get in them, they would drop them off for me. And then we could have somebody help, like we could have an activity around it if we, when and if that makes sense. But I did want to bring that up, that I talked about that with them. And we had a previous board member named Stephanie, I can't pronounce her last name, but passed away last year during COVID. And they had also like to provide a memorial to her to
Stephanie
Comptos, yes, thank you, Mike. We would like to dedicate these to her, so have kind of like a little memorial plaque. And the Bryans offered to cover the cost of that, so that's nothing different, nothing expense for this group. But I just wanted to bring that up. That was all I had on, in addition to what was already talked about. So does anybody have any questions? I'm trying to pull up the grant thing he sent me. Yes, Commissioner Macy.
So I saw that we were thinking about either Normandy Oaks or the Arboretum as possible places, both of which I think are great. I don't actually know which way we lean on, so I don't know if that's what this board is going to opine on tonight, but I will say Normandy Oaks is right across from where Stephanie's husband lives. So there's something nice about having the place, the one that's dedicated to her, be there. But I mean, I think the senior center, the Arboretum, is also a really fantastic place to have beehives. And I think like there's already established flowers and everything there that I think the bees would take to it pretty well. So anyway, I think those are both good options. I'm curious to hear what others have to say.
It'd be nice to have them somewhere like visible so that people, if it's like a high traffic area, I don't know, it's like a piece of art if we have kid art on it. A place for people just to learn about bees, which I feel like some of this is kind of educational. I don't know if that's like an incidental, goal.
Both of those locations have like trail areas where you can walk through, and if these were strategically placed, there might be that opportunity, Crystal. And I think there's probably a way to do that. What do you think, Aaron, John?
I'm leaning towards Normandy Oaks. There's a good point that at the Arb, there's already flowering plants, so that they would take well. But in some of and I can't remember if I read it or if it was in a discussion with somebody, we had talked about that it's not necessary that there's established flower beds there. So that shouldn't, I don't think play a factor in our decision on that. Given the proximity to where she lived, I think Normandy Oaks seems really appropriate. And with an opening, it's definitely going to get more eyes and attention. Lastly, I believe that there was also we're still sort of chasing it down, waiting for that to develop, but there was a free one that we were potentially looking to get, the fellow that raises them. And we were thinking that might be a good candidate for the ARB. So for what it's worth, I think Normandy Oaks is probably the preferred location.
Yeah, if I can add to that, there's going to be signage at the Oak Savannah area that kind of explains what's in the area, right? It's going to be kind of like an educational sign that Oakland County and the city are working on currently to provide everyone, because I'll admit I'm not very versed into what an Oak Savannah is versus what a forest is, but that's why we'll have signage there. So that may actually be a really nice place to have it.
Would it also be worthwhile reaching out to the Environmental Advisory Board to see if there's a way that we could piggyback on a community garden where the bees might be helpful for pollination? Those two things might work well together.
Yeah, I think as that project develops, we can keep that in mind. I think for the purpose of the decision here today for this B's and the D contract, I don't know so much that the timing wouldn't work to try to include it in one of those projects, I guess is what I'm saying.
They also aren't looking at those. They also aren't looking at those places in terms of where they wanted the community gardens. But I did mention to them that there'd be bees and that we would maybe be expanding both community gardens and bees in the future.
I think the Normandy Oaks solution or selection is the natural fit. Again, given that Stephanie lived right there, her husband still lives there. She was from day one with the Normandy Oaks task force. Every meeting we had, every public engagement, every session that we had, sometimes we only had 3 people there, and 2 of them were Stephanie and her husband. So, I think having some recognition at Normandy Oaks for her and her passion for the bee project, just a natural fit. So I'm all in favor of that.
Do we want to decorate them?
Yeah.
Okay. What'd you say, Susan?
I said, sure.
Okay. Now we're just going to find someone to help us out. The recommendation was that we have an adult draw it and then have kids fill it in so that it doesn't look like, I'm not going to repeat what he said, but a mess. I'm good friends with the Brian, so he might have used some more fruitful, more flowery language, but I'm not going to repeat that in this meeting, but he made that recommendation. Yes. Commissioner Macy.
Are there, I'm trying to figure, if it's 2 hives, do we have 8 sides? Like, I'm wondering if we could have an elementary school do, each do a side or something like that.
I can ask them. I don't think they're super close together, but I mean, I can look at I can try to pull up their website and see, but they would have their boxes. So yes, they would have 8 sides.
So that's what I was thinking, 2 boxes. So like, you take one and Adams can have it for a week and then you take, but I don't know, we maybe don't have time for all that. This is so.
Yeah, and if I could, I think we should, make these noticeable, at least for these ones here, but maybe not put any personalized touch on it and make it kind of standard issue, and discuss it, have the signage to sort of explain it. And then if we wanted to do an art project with one, we could do that at the ARB. I'm just thinking because, they're creating this natural area that's sort of, there will be signage there, so that's not quite natural, but I just don't know how that would stand out in the new park if it wasn't done really well. You know what I mean? And
Are you saying our children's art is unsightly? Is that what you're saying?
Don't tell them I said that, but kind of.
I'm telling Ms. Vukic this
Well, no, so let's be clear, an adult's drawing it, Aaron. So like, it's just having them color in the lines.
Well, I think let's get these things ordered up, and then we'll have time to figure out exactly how we want to approach that, I think, but.
So is the question before us just the location right now?
I think we have to prove them. Do we have to prove the money?
Yeah, really, we gotta, yes, just say that,
Okay.
give the nod so that we can.
Take it. Crystal, you had your hand up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I feel like this is like not what we want to discuss now, but I was just going to say, when you said adult there, were you thinking of like someone from Royal Oak Parks, or were you think like from, like a municipal employee, or were you thinking like we have Oakland Community College and don't they have art class? Like, don't they have students?
Yeah. We can table
I don't know if
art
that's right.
on the beehives because Aaron doesn't seem to be a fan of art right now. So let's.
Oh, okay.
We'll push
No.
art.
Don't
push
mistake,
art
I'm
next
not,
month.
we can talk about it for however long you want, I'm fine with it. This is my 2 cents.
All right.
Oh, but I did have something I did want to mention was, do you need help writing a grant, or is that something that, like, I know that there was money too, but I'm happy to help on that end, Sarah.
I will send that out to you guys as well. I will take out the colorful language that I received in the rest of the body of the email, but there was a $500 grant that they thought we could apply for. So I will put that in there. I have 2 emails to send this board after I get off this call, which was the public comment, and then I will send out the grant. So yes, okay, Joe's wife is now offended, Aaron, that you won't let her paint the bees. So there you go, 1 resident down.
Yeah,
This is going sideways. I should have kept my mouth shut.
Spring break, so thank you.
All right.
I'm going to be at the Grand Canyon tomorrow with an angry wife.
Sorry, man.
I'm just kidding. For this meeting, we will table decoration and we will focus on implementation and location. So is there a motion to approve the contract for 2440 for the Bs and the Ds being placed at Normandy Oaks? Is that a question, Mike? Okay, you are making the motion?
Making the motion. So moved.
What was the motion?
The motion was to approve the Bs and the D contract for $2,440 and to be placed in Normandy Oaks. Is that what we agreed on? With no art right now, John. Make a note. With no decoration, they're just gonna be white. All right, we have.
Natural.
We're gonna go natural. We go all natural at our bees. And we hope Joe comes back from the Grand Canyon. All right, so Melanie made a motion for that.
A second.
Crystal seconds. I'll do roll call. Crystal.
Bye.
Joe.
Aye.
Melanie.
Aye.
Susan.
Aye.
Mike.
Bzzz.
All right.
Aye.
All right. And Maya.
Oh, aye.
And I am also an aye, so that passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. All right, senior outreach.
I'll touch on this a little bit. We're going to have some information in our summer insight. So we're going to try to not try, but we're going to keep the ball rolling with the communication. The senior center is doing a lot. We are actually going to be opening more and more classes in all of our facilities. So I guess that kind of combines for both senior outreach and regular recreation. I do want to say though, since we've got our Facebook page, I've asked Paige when we had our last curbside meal. I asked her, I said, have you been seeing the same amount of people? Because she's had about 4 at this moment. And she was saying that she's actually received a whole variant of people coming to these curbside meals because of our Facebook page. So
Awesome.
we're getting a lot of new people coming to her facility and noticing it. And she's also she's got some feedback saying that even though these people don't have Facebook, or some of them don't have Facebook, their siblings or their children have Facebook, and they're seeing it, and they're also communicating it to their moms and dads. So it's going well. I'm glad we have our Facebook page now. It's going well. We're going to keep it up.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Yes, Melanie.
It reminds me that we did I should have said this in commissioner comments again. We did a community survey, and one of the questions that was asked was how do you like to receive your information? And so, I think it's to be expected that we saw more younger people being interested in receiving it via Facebook and email, and some of the older population were not. We're not using those methods, but so I talked to Judy Davids about this, about like kind of the breakdown and ways that we can be reaching those populations, which I think is what she's been working on this time. And I think she feels pretty good about what the plan she has in place for this. She also noted that of the people, so there was this whole range of options, like, would you like to receive it this way, like by phone, by email? There are some people who are like, none, like, please do not send me information. So, and Judy was just like, you just have to recognize there are some people who this isn't like, if they weren't interested in what's going on in city business, like we need to be able to get them resources if they need them, but we shouldn't be trying to shove things down their throat that they don't necessarily want. So we're kind of trying to find a balance between reaching out to the people who are seeking this information and making sure if we have something that's like need to know that we're getting it out, but just having that balance. So anyway, another piece of interest.
Anyone else have any questions or thoughts? How did passing out the meals go, you two? They did not drive through?
Didn't drop a single one this time.
No, everyone got their cake.
Oh, are you getting the cookies again, Melanie? The Easter cookies?
So I gave up sweets for Easter. So for Lent. So I did
can't
not,
get
this is the first time I have not gotten the cookies.
All right. Well, I'm glad that the Facebook page is so well received. Thank you for that update. All right. Staff report.
I talked about drainage in the parks. Like I said, I went out to Kenwood Exchange, and grading could help. Drain tiles could help. So we'll continue to look into that as we progress through the year. If you guys have noticed on Coolidge and 13 Mile, all the heavy equipment for the renovation at Memorial Park is on there now. They're going to start working on it on Monday, April 5th. I found out the reason why there was such a delay in work, and it wasn't because of the weather or anything. It was because the frost laws were still in effect. So they couldn't bring any of their heavy machinery without the risk of being ticketed and everything like that. So it did push back some of our high school games, and some of our high school games got just moved to a different field. But it should be done by April 20th, April 23rd timeframe. So that would be up and running. something that I just want to keep everyone in mind as we start opening up more and more programs. The state and the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services came out with some COVID protocols back in March 19, saying that players playing in high school sports ages 13 to 19 have to be tested for COVID every day. They actually re-clarified that, saying that it was okay for them to be tested every week. On Monday, there was an additional statement saying that that would impact sport recreation leagues and clubs. So I have reached out to Oakland County Health, Wayne County Health, COVID-19 hotline, Department of Health and Human Services to try to get a little bit more clarification as to what that means, because this goes into effect tomorrow. And the response that I have received is they don't know what club means in regards to this order. And when I asked them how local recreation departments and local sports clubs can receive, supplies, because we would have to administer COVID tests, and then we would have to properly dispose of them as biohazards. And my response was, that's a good question. I'll get back to you. So I just want to make everyone aware, because that could eventually affect football club, Sandlot League, even some of our adult leagues. Now, I did talk to the football club in Ned, and they already have a clinic on board that will be helping assist with their tests. The Sandlot League, even though their season starts in May and this order goes until April 19th, they are working on just getting that already prepped and ready to go. And I do say this about our adult leagues, because there is that possibility that we have someone that's within the age range of 18 to 19 years old that will need to be tested. So right now, I'm just trying to figure out how we can do that.
So what did you say the ages were again? I'm sorry for this.
13 to 19.
Okay, thank you.
Can I say real quickly? So, I mean, the ROFC and the schools had to figure this out just recently. They have to start it like immediately. So I have kids doing this all over the place. And I mean, you should I think ROFC, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I think that they would be happy to let people come use their clinic so they don't have to pay. That people get paid to do these tests by, I don't know, some magical person, but like they're happy to come set up the clinic. So I think both at the schools and ROFC, people are coming to set up a clinic and running it for free. And it's just, so in other words, I think like if we set up one and there's a limited number of people who need to do it for the city, you could probably make use of that same one.
Yep, that's what I was leaning towards in dealing with other local recreation directors for that community, Troy, Novi, Farmington. The Novi director had a pretty good solution for the time being. He listed a bunch of clinics that run COVID tests, and most of them are free of charge depending on your health insurance. And so that is also something else I'm looking into, because then they can essentially test it, and then the person who is getting tested can then send their results to me and staff, and then go from there. But just kind of want to keep everyone updated in that situation, just in case it comes across your guys' tables. That's all I got.
John, Aaron, real quick, how's hiring going for the summer positions? Are we getting applications?
We are. We want to be, I'll take an army. I'll take 20 if we can get them. Definitely more than last year for the obvious reasons. Also, the pay hike helped. Right now, I think we have 8 or 9 candidates, I think, right now that are in process, which doesn't sound like a lot, but compared to where we were last year, it's a ton. So yeah, to answer your question, it's going very well. And we were gonna close that at the end of the month, actually. We decided to keep it open kind of somewhat perpetually because we could always use the help. So tell your friends.
Might need a second job.
Great.
You don't want my help, Aaron.
So,
Yeah.
question about Normandy Oaks. So, I've been driving by it like once a week, and it looks the same every time I drive by it.
I know everybody says that. They actually are making quite a bit of progress here. Like, for example, that bridge needed to be moved and be put in place. They were affected by frost laws on that. And a lot of it is just the finish work on it. And if you think about it, really the structure, the couple of structures there, and then mostly turf and the equipment's there. So we did have a meeting with them to discuss the schedule. We expressed that, we've been told about schedules before and we've seen how schedules have gone and that there's a lot riding on this. So this was about a month or so back, I want to say, with John, and they gave us a more complete schedule and they've been sticking to it. So it doesn't, you're right. Most days, a lot of days you can drive by and you think nothing is happening. And there is. Oftentimes they don't have a full crew in. They have specialized smaller crews in, and there's doing a lot of work on the restoration of the Savannah area. NCS is subcontracted to do that, and they're in there quite a bit. So it's on schedule. To that point, and since I have the floor anyway, I wouldn't put it in your calendars yet, like as a firm thing, but we're looking for June 26th, that Saturday, to do an opening event. Uh-oh, that's not working with, is that working with your calendar?
This is my personal schedule, but like, don't mind me.
We ran that through the mayor. I think he's tentatively okay with that date. Really, it would be kind of a.
I'm taking the mayor's daughter with me, so I disagree. He's not okay with that date.
Really? Okay, well, we have a failure to communicate.
Should ask the mayor's wife.
Yes. So, what was I going to say with that?
Is this like the big opening or is this like a soft opening?
No. This isn't a pretend opening. This is the real.
Okay.
It's going to be opened up. So it'll be a sort of a passive event at around 10 a.m. or so. There'll be the comments with the dignitaries and the like, and then open it up and have activities for kids. Oakland County has some resources for us that we're going to use. They have some kind of fun toys in addition to what's we've already have there. Then the play structure will be open. We're looking to have food trucks.
Climbing structure? Oakland County climbing structure?
Yeah, that's one of the options. Yeah, so we got to see what's available for that date. But yeah, so there'll be fun stuff. But that's the date, and that don't hold me to that yet. But we had that discussion today. That seemed good for me.
I'm sorry, Aaron, I got distracted. What was that date again?
June 26th, Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday, June 26th.
Can we use the play structure this time since you wouldn't let us last time?
Yes, just don't paint it.
Okay. I won't paint it.
No art.
I won't let any art happen. I promise. City is off the art bandwagon.
Yeah.
Can't wait to talk about stuff off. I'm not on the agenda.
So,
all right. Anything else, Aaron?
No, and John, did I steal your staff report? Is that what happened there? Are you done?
No, I was done. Yeah.
All right. That's all I.
I do have one thing.
We should have John's staff report and Aaron's staff report.
I do apologize for the skate group, all these public comments. I tried to explain to them the process of how budget works and everything like that. And I don't like to be the one that would say, no, don't attend public comment because you can't, because then I don't want to silence people. They have every right of the resident to make a public comment. But I think there's just a little bit of confusion on the budgeting process for how the city does a lot of its projects. And to that point, the skate park was about $500,000. Half of it would be covered from the grant. So I know there's a lot of confusion of what the cost was going to be.
I thought it was closer to $1 million.
Well, I guess the sky's the limit with that. The one discussion we had, I think, was $500,000
Okay.
total. But
all right. It's still a lot of money. Let's put it that way. Okay. Anything else, John?
you know what? I'm sorry. Since if you guys don't mind, I'll go back. Melanie, Commissioner Macy was discussing the community garden, and Tom Regan is working on that. I am scheduled next week to get kind of the brief on that. He's done a lot of the legwork on it, and he's worked really hard, him and the team that he has. And I've been sort of out of it, letting him do his stuff. But next week, we're at that point now where he's going to sort of brief me on where they've landed on everything, and we'll go from there. The next step really there would be come back to this board to sort of just say, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, but also have some internal review from legal and things, because that would be site specific. So there'll be a little time yet. I know they really want to get the shovels in the ground to get it going, but similar to the skate park thing, it just doesn't happen that fast. So anyway, that's all.
Okay. One last chance. John, anything else? Aaron, are you really done?
No, one last chance, John. You can play us a tune, any tune you want. You select it. No?
We still have to get through items not on the agenda, so you got a little more time to think about it, John. What song you're gonna play for us?
Let's play it.
All right.
Moving right along.
Yes, Mike, we gotta hurry. 22 minutes till Mike's bedtime, you guys. All right, items not on the agenda. I have one thing, but I'll wait to see if anybody has anything else. All right, I just wanted to provide an update on the art contest that we had. We had an opportunity to meet with this art City Royal Oak Art Commission. I don't know, I met with somebody. I went to some meeting, much different than this one, but they are willing to work with us on that. I've been working with Judy Davids to set everything up. She will be kind of the leading all of that for us. Came back with some different ideas. We're looking to have a site set up by I think May 1st, right guys? And then close the contest towards the end of summer. And then we will, there's a couple of different things that we worked with Judy about how we could display some of the winners' art. And we'll have the Commission for the Arts is providing some financial contribution for prizes. No, we will not be putting them on the beehives. Beehives have to be all natural. We don't want to distract the bees from their work.
But the art could be of the beehives, correct?
It could be of the beehives,
okay,
yes.
Just to clarify, okay.
Yes.
So Sarah,
Yes, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I've talked to Judy again, I think after you had like a longer talk with her. So I know this is maybe not a definite thing anymore, but could you talk about the banners as a possibility?
Yeah, so when I was at the Commission for the Arts meeting, they have banners that were in front of Grant Park that were fairly destroyed. I think, you know, they had paid, the Art Commission paid to have all of the stuff installed, all of the hanging things installed on the lights. So they were looking for some type of thing to print on the banners. And one of the suggestions from the commission was to have the winners printed on the banners. And so they would be displayed on the street, hanging from the kind of the street lamps in front of Grant Park off of 4th Street. It was just one of the ideas that we thought about to celebrate the winners. That's all I got. Yep.
Great.
Any other questions on this art contest?
Sounds great. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else? Going once, twice, 3 times? All right. Upcoming events, John. Bring it home.
All right, bring it home. We have a park cleanup coming up on April 24th and 25th. So if any organizations want to adopt the park, I know we've got a couple organizations that have already signed up. I believe Mike, the Optimist Club, has already got their spot in there. So like I said, if you guys know any organizations or if you guys want to get a group people together, it will take place on April 24th and 25th. Now, if you can't make those dates, it doesn't mean, you know, we can't help you guys out in terms of getting you some compost bags and any other tools necessary, but those are the designated dates. And then we have a cornhole tournament scheduled for, I don't know what, Saturday, May 1st. So if anyone is interested, sign up for that. 2 people, $50 a team. Lots of fun.
Hey, John,
Yeah.
For an organization to adopt a park for one of those days, is there a minimum number of people that you would be looking for to tackle a park like that?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
And what
You can contact the DPS offices. One of our clerks handles the registration for it, so you can give the DPS office a call. You can tell her what park you wish to do a cleanup in, providing that it is available.
Okay.
Typically, with some of our larger parks, we allow multiple groups to participate in it. So, like Star JC, Memorial, Warden, like those bigger parks. And then if you want, we typically provide like a certificate of appreciation to groups. So if that's something that, you wanted to receive, the city would provide that for you. But we would provide any sort of compost bags, depending on, if we have any rakes or something like that left over from what our crew usually uses, we can give that as well. So.
Joe,
Okay, and then,
go
sorry,
ahead.
I was gonna say, is there at all like an age limit? I guess I'm tossing around the idea of having like one of our young girls soccer teams, adopt one of the parks that we play at. I mean, would that be okay to have, the young kids and the parents out there together?
Yep,
It's really
there's age restrictions, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
we just provide some of the goods and you guys provide the help and the oversight.
Okay. Great.
Joe, we've been doing the Optimist Park for as long as I can remember, over 20 years since they had the park cleanup program, and we have adults. We have Optimist members who bring their grandkids, and we provide all our own rakes, and the city, I believe, provides the bags, and then we bag up everything we rake up and set it by the curb, and then they come by at a later date with the trucks and pick everything up. So depending on the size park you're in, determine the number of people. Optimist Park, which I would say is probably an average size park in the city, and we usually have anywhere from 10 to 12 people.
And if there was really a park that you insisted on cleaning and it was already selected, it's a general rule. I mean, we do that so that we can try to get coverage everywhere else, but there's nothing precluding you if you really insisted on working in one of the small parks that's already rented out, that you could use that.
Cool. Thank
Mr.
you.
Macy.
Would it be possible to move this sign up online? Like, I wonder, like for the schools, we have a sign up genius, and it seems like it would be nice if like all the parks were listed, and then you could, like a group could sign up and say 20 of us will be there on this date and time. And so people would, rather than having to like think of it on their own and call DPS, we could throw up a link on the Facebook page and people could just go to it and sign up. And
yes, that is a fantastic idea, and it's relatively easily done. It's sort of lower on our list of things, but and we hadn't really thought of it until these things sort of creep up on us. But I think that's something we'll swing for next year for sure. That's a good idea. Because you're right. But it's interesting. We never felt it necessary because there's like all these groups know about it. So like oftentimes before we even would announce it, we would have parks filled up with people. They'd be calling us. But you're right. I don't think a lot of people don't know. So that's duly noted.
And then my other question was like, if it's a playground that needs mulch, cut, whatever, spread, would you bring that for those days? Could that be part of the cleanup or not?
If we could arrange it that way, yeah. If we can get delivery of the mulch in advance, yes, we can do that.
So in other words, if someone tells you now.
What's that?
If someone tells you pretty soon.
Which park do you want it at, Melanie?
I don't know, but
Yeah, no, yes. If they told us that now, we could arrange to have mulch there. They would have to provide wheelbarrows. We don't have enough of those to give out, but for sure. Yeah.
I'm probably would do Lockman. That's.
And I would want to talk with John about it because we do have some of them scheduled to have mulch put in. Are you talking about the
Lockman's scheduled?
Yeah. Okay.
I do have a question. When do we turn the water on at the dog park?
It should be on now.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't been there in a while.
Yeah.
I just thought it did.
Sarah, we turn the water on for our pavilions like April 1st. So yeah, it should be
okay.
On already.
I'll ask, and if not, Aaron, I'll
try to take a sip from it.
What?
Are you talking about the water fountain for the dog?
Yeah. They have pools and everything there, Aaron. It's a luxury dog park.
Premier dog park.
Premier dog park. They have pools, turtle pools. All right. Anything else?
One quick thing that Steve and I was talking about dog park, everything. My wife is on the animal shelter committee, and they're doing with the city a fundraiser, a virtual dog walk. You can go on to the city website, romy.gov, and find information on it. They're selling T-shirts that have, the sponsorship, and you walk your dog and I guess record it or do it on your treadmill or something. I'm not sure how exactly they're doing it, but you buy a T-shirt and the funds go to the animal shelter.
Sarah, I want video of your dog on a treadmill.
We don't have a dog. We don't have a dog any longer, but my wife dug out one of our older daughter's old toys. Do you remember pound puppies? Does anybody ever remember pound puppies? Okay, she found one of those. She's going to walk on the treadmill carrying a pound puppy.
Nice. If my dogs are out for a walk, which he will be tomorrow, you will probably be able to hear him. He loves to talk to people in the morning. So he's a little air horn. All right. Going once, twice, 3 times the charm. Anybody like to make a motion to adjourn? Mike can't raise his hand fast enough and shake it vigorously enough. So I think Mike would like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Crystal seconds.
Thank you, Crystal.
I know, Michael. And I will do roll call. I'm going to start with Crystal.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Melanie.
Aye.
Susan.
Aye.
Mike.
Well, let me think about it.
Okay. Maya.
She lost her audio.
Video or audio.
Okay. All right. And I also approve, so that unanimously passed. Therefore, I adjourn the April Parks, Rec, and Senior Services Advisory Board meeting for the month.
Real
Thank
quick,
you,
Aaron.
everyone.
Aaron, did you get my email?
Oh, yes, I did with the contact. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody.
Enjoy spring break,
Good night.
everyone.
Thank you,
Aye.
Sarah.
We
Bye.
hope to see you back from the Grand Canyon shows.
Yeah, I don't know if you hear somebody pushed over the edge, you know why. It's all Aaron's fault.
Sorry,
Yeah, you're
Joseph.
gonna get the city sued, Aaron.
It's all right. I better get out of here while the getting's good.
All right. Bye, guys. Have a great
Good night.
See ya.